Week in Cincinnati on 9 on your side. The people, the headlines, the issues impacting you, all on This Week in Cincinnati on 9 on your side.
And welcome back to This Week in Cincinnati. One of the most critical issues facing Cincinnati is poverty. It will affect many of the decisions, in fact, of the winner of the mayor's race in November. And according to the U.S. Census in 2015, 47% of children in Cincinnati lived in homes below the poverty line, and that equals more than 30,000 children. And it's twice the national average. Joining us now to talk about that with mayoral candidate and city council member Yvette Simpson is Lucy May, who covers these issues on WCPO.com. Thank you, Lucy.
Thank you.
As we know that the poverty affects so many things, when we focus on the issues of crime and drug use in our community, do you believe we have to target the youth in our community to be able to make these changes when it comes to crime and poverty and all these other issues?
So this is a personal issue for me. I grew up in extreme poverty. So I talked about my father who was addicted to drugs, my mother mentally ill. My grandmother raised us. We didn't have a lot. We were very poor. And so this is one that's personal. And I do know that children who are suffering in poverty do have families who are also in poverty. So I think part of it is let's find out what's working. Let's not throw out the baby with the bathwater, and let's talk to the families who are experiencing it. And I think that's one of the issues that, you know, I kind of have with the way we're approaching it now, and I would do it differently. It has to be from the ground up. There are families who are in poverty who are making it work, and we need to give them a little bit more support. They are making below the poverty line, but they have a family support network. They are using resources well, and we need to shore them up. And if they're ready to take the next step, we need to help them do that. There are some families that are really in critical condition, and many of those are grandparent families, families who are experiencing homelessness, or children who are not in school or working. And those are the categories of children that I would focus on. They're the most critical, and I would start with building the support in the community. The village, as we say, we need to rebuild the village. It is not a top-down approach that has ever worked. When I was in poverty, it was the people next door who helped us. It was not kind of the big institutions or organizations that really got us through day to day. And so we need to use that approach.
And you're reporting, Lucy, is this what you're seeing in the community, what's working?
Yeah, I'm so interested in what you have to say about this because of the three candidates, you're the one who lived this, as you say. And I guess I wonder, with the community effort that's happening now, the Child Poverty Collaborative, I think there has been an effort to reach out and do some of that grassroots conversation. But what do you feel like is working with that approach and what's not working with that approach? What would you like to see done differently?
You know, I think that the approaches and the solutions have to start with the community, meaning their voice needs to be the most persistent, the most consistent, and the loudest. So you need to talk to people in poverty and say, what is it that you need? How can we support you? Where are the gaps in your life? And I think we've got a lot of great, well-meaning people who are willing to put their time and their resources to the table, and we need those. But the solutions are on the ground. At the end of the day, the idea that a family, a mom is every single day just trying to get their child to school, trying to get to work, when someone gets sick, their whole life comes undone. This is where people are living, and no one understands that better than them. So talk to them. Ask them what they need and give it to them. And that's the type of approach we need. The institutional and organizational approach doesn't serve well because I've got a grant that I've got to follow, I've got objectives I've got to meet, and if you don't come through my door, I don't know if I can help you. Let's be clear, the people who need you the most are not going to walk in that door. You need to go to them, you need to ask them what they need, and you need to build capacity in communities to support people within communities. I always say it's like, you know, the neighbor who, if you need a cup of sugar, you go next door and borrow a cup of sugar. Or I can't get my kids to school, how do we build up community supports so that the next door neighbors can support families and community? I think those are the approaches we need to be looking at, not necessarily the top down. Do we still need the support and resources of these organizations? Yes, but we need them to be on the ground working with community-based, built-up capacity in order for that to work.
What's your biggest roadblock to make that happen, though?
Well, one, it's difficult, right? I mean, the organizational approach works for some things, right? I've got a staff of people who are serving people. Somebody comes in my door, we serve that person, we're serving people. So to break that chain and say, but the people who are you're missing are the people who don't walk in the door, and what you need to do is get out of your building. It's hard for organizations to do that. We go to annual meetings and they're touting great numbers and they're saying, look at who we serve, that's all great. But the most critical people are the people who can't get transportation to get to you, can't get daycare to get to you. We know where they live. They are concentrated in places. Get out of the buildings, go to them, give them what they need and fill those gaps day to day. We also put a lot of red tape on people. I got to come to this meeting. I got to meet with this caseworker. Guess what? I don't have time to do that because I'm just trying to get from one job to another. So we need to ease the burden on families in a real way and not have them go through all those hoops. Let's go to them. So we had a great example, I don't know if I have time to give it, in Avondale. A kid, Kieran, was shot outside of a building on the corner of Blair and Reading Road. The families didn't want the kids to come out and play, so the kids were going to be trapped. We went and knocked on every single door and said, we're going to bring a bus to go to Girl Scout and Boy Scout camp here every day. Kids will get snacks. All you have to do is get them right here. Right. We had 2 moms in the building who made sure every baby was on the bus. That's what community looks like.
Making that one small difference in that community to let people know it's all right.
Right, and it was funny because the Boy Scouts and the Girl Scouts said, we've been sending forms home to these kids. They never come out. This has been great. Right. We wanted to serve this population, and now we can.
All right, well, I know the segment was a little short. There's so much to talk about.
This is one that's near and dear to my heart.
I know it is.
Talk about it
you can
all
go to
day.
WCPO.com, of course, and follow Lucy May's coverage of this issue. And, of course, we'll be following you throughout the campaign as well.
Thank you.
And as you continue to work on City Council.
Thank you very much.
All right.